Today in geometry, we're going to look at section 3.4, day 2 of this. We're going to focus on the slopes of parallel and perpendicular lines today. We're going to start out with the postulate, slopes of parallel lines. In a coordinate plane, two non-vertical lines are parallel if and only if they have the same slope. Therefore, any two vertical lines are parallel. So then we have this picture. We see this is a picture of parallel lines right here. Remember our definition of parallel lines. They are two lines that are coplanar in the same plane that never intersect. Then our postulate, slopes of perpendicular lines. In a coordinate plane, two non-vertical lines are perpendicular if and only if the product of their slopes is -1. Remember, product means if I multiply those two slopes together, it is -1. This is the same thing as saying that they have negative reciprocals of one another, so that the slopes are negative reciprocals of one another. Remember that a reciprocal is where you flip it, and then negative, you change the sign. This picture over here is of perpendicular lines. And again, remember that the definition of perpendicular are two lines that when they intersect, they form a right angle, and that is marked by that little box. It tells us horizontal lines are perpendicular to vertical lines each and every single time. So we're going to start out nice and easy. Find the slope of each line and then which lines are parallel. Remember that our slope, lowercase m, is basically rise over run. So if I find the slope, we'll start with the furthest to the left of line L. I find 2 points on the line. I can take this point, and I ask myself, how far do I have to go up and over to get from one point to the next? We always read from left to right. Okay, so I start at the point furthest to the left. So this point, I go up 1, 2, 3, 4. And I go over 1. So the slope is 4 over 1, which is the same thing as 4. Now we'll do the slope of line M. Again, pick 2 points. This point and this point look nice. How far up and over? So count our squares. 1, 2, 3. Again, up 4 and over 1. So the slope is 4 over 1, which again is equal to 4. And finally, the slope of line N. Pick 2 points, this point and this point. How far up and over? So this time if we count squares, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and over 1. So 5 over 1, which is the same as 5. So we found the slope of each line. And it says which lines are parallel. Remember, at the beginning of the notes, we just learned that parallel lines have the exact same slope. These two lines, line L and M, both had a slope of 4. So those are parallel lines. So we could say L parallel, remember our notation for parallel, just parallel lines, is M. So L is parallel to M. All right, next example, it says line M passes through the points -1, 3, and 4, 1. Line T passes through the points -2, -1, and 3, -3. Are the given lines parallel, perpendicular, or neither? Remember that last week we looked again at our formula for slope. So that was y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. In these ordered pairs, we have x1, y1, x2, y2. So I'm going to first find the slope of line M. So subtract my two y's. So y2 was 1 minus the other y value, 3, over my x's, 4 minus -1. So that's just plugging into the formula for slope. So now we want to work that out. 1 minus 3, -2. 4 minus the -1 turns to 4 plus 1, which is 5. -2 and 5 don't have anything in common. I cannot reduce it, and my larger number is not on top to divide it out. So this is the slope of line M, -2/5. Remember that we talked about last week, if it has a negative slope, that means from left to right, the line is decreasing. So for my 2 points, instead of going up and over, I had to go down and over. So now we want to find the slope of line T using the same formula, only the 2 points that they gave me on line T. So y2 is -3 minus y1, -1, over 3 minus -2. Again, simply plugging in the points that they gave to me into our formula. Now when we work this out, -3 minus -1, that turns to -3 plus 1, which is -2. 3 minus a -2 turns to 3 plus 2, which is 5. Again, -2 and 5, I don't have anything that I can reduce them by. So now I want to compare my two slopes. So the slope of line M is -2/5. The slope of line T is also -2/5. When the two lines have the exact same slope, we can say that they are parallel. So these two lines are parallel. We could write that as M parallel to T. Turn our papers over. We're going to do another example just like that. It gives me line M passes through the points 0, 2, and 6, 5. Line T passes through the points 2, 4, and 4, 0. Are the two lines parallel, perpendicular, or neither? So again, we're going to start out finding the slope of line M by plugging into that formula. So 5 minus 2, those are my y values, over my x values, 6 minus 0. So on top, 5 minus 2 is 3. On the bottom, 6 minus 0 is 6. 3 over 6. Okay? I can reduce that. They both have a 3 in common, so if I simplify this, 3 goes into 3 one time, 3 goes into 6 twice. So my slope of line M is 1/2. Now I want to find the slope of line T using the same formula, only the points for line T. So subtract your two y values. So on top we'll have 0 minus 4 over, subtract the two x values, 4 minus 2. So on top, 0 minus 4 is -4. On the bottom, 4 minus 2 is 2. My larger number is on top, so I can divide this out and get a nice whole number. -4 divided by 2 is -2. Okay, obviously these are not the same slope, so I know that they're not parallel. So then I have to check to see, are they perpendicular? Remember we said that perpendicular, their product, when we multiply them together, would give me -1. So let's go ahead and check that. So 1/2 times -2 gets me -1. So I see that these are perpendicular. And again, remember when we said on the front of the notes that if the product was -1, that meant that they were negative reciprocals of one another. And so here I have a positive 1/2. If I were to flip that and change the sign, I would get -2 over 1, which is exactly what I have over here, -2. Remember that -2 is the same thing as saying -2 over 1. So these are, in fact, negative reciprocals of one another. So these are perpendicular. And then our notation, if we wanted to write it out, we would say M perpendicular. Remember our notation for perpendicular is like an upside down capital T. M is perpendicular to line T. All right, so now let's look at graphing some of these. Line H passes through the points 3, 0 and 7, 6. Graph the line that's perpendicular to H and passing through the point 2, 5. The very first thing that I want to do is find out what is the slope of the line that they give to me, the 2 points H. So I'm going to find the slope of line H. Again, using the exact same formula that we've been using. Subtract the y values on top, so 6 minus 0 over the x values, 7 minus 3. So on top, 6 minus 0 gets me 6. 7 minus 3 gets me 4. 6 and 4, we can reduce those. They both have a 2 in common. So if I take a 2 out of everything, 6 divided by 2 is 3. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So the slope of line H is 3/2. Let's go ahead and plot that line and graph that line. So we know that it passes through the point 3, 0. So I can go ahead and plot the point 3, 0 right here. I know it has a slope of 3/2, positive 3/2. So that means from my point that I just plotted at 3, 0, I can go up 3 and to the right 2. So go up 1, 2, 3, right 2. There's my point. But remember from our Algebra 1 days of graphing, if I run out of graph and I want to go the other direction, I go back to my first point, and instead of going up and to the right, I can go down and to the left. So if I go back to the point 3, 0, I can go down 3 and left 2. And I can keep doing that, down 3, left 2. Now I'm off of my graph, so I'm going to go ahead and draw that. So draw the line through those points. It's a line, so I need arrows at both directions. All right, so now we want to graph the line that's perpendicular to that and passes through the point 2, 5. I can go ahead and plot my point 2, 5, so over 2, up 5. I know this is going to be my starting point. So now I just have to find the slope. So the slope that's going to be perpendicular to H, remember we said that they are negative reciprocals if they are perpendicular. So I need to take the slope of line H, flip it, and change the sign. So when I flip 3/2, I get 2/3, and then change the sign, so it's going to be negative 2/3. So now I want to use that to graph this other line. So I go back to that point we just plotted, 2, 5. My slope is negative 2, so that means I'm going to go down 2 and over 3. I see it crosses right there. I can go ahead and draw that line. Again, arrows at both ends to show it's a line. Last thing I have to do, remember that if we have two lines that are perpendicular, where they intersect is a right angle. We have to mark that. So at my graph, I'm going to draw my little box to show that that is a right angle right there where they intersect. Let's do another graphing example. So our next one says line M passes through the points 0, 3 and 5, 2. Graph the line parallel to M that passes through the point 2, negative 1. Again, the first thing I want to do is find the slope of line M that they give me the 2 points for. Again, using the exact same formula we've been using all along. So subtract the y values, 2 minus 3 over 5 minus 0. 2 minus 3 gets me negative 1. 5 minus 0, 5. So it has a slope of negative 1/5. Negative 1 and 5 don't have anything in common besides 1, so we cannot simplify or reduce that in any way. So now let's plot that line. So I know that it passes through the point 0, 3. I need a starting point, so I'm just going to plot that point 0, 3. So I don't go over any on the x-axis. I go up to positive 3 on the y-axis. That's my starting point. My slope now is negative 1/5, so I go down 1 and right 5. Remember that if I wanted to go the opposite direction, go back to my original point, 0, 3, I could go up 1 and left 5. So those are the points that are going to make up this line. So draw a line through those points. Again, giving arrows at both ends to show that it is in fact a line. We want the line parallel to that. So my parallel slope, remember that parallel lines, they're parallel because they never intersect. In order to never intersect, they must have the exact same slope. They have to go up and over or down and over, rise over run, the exact same amount. So since the slope of line M was negative 1/5, my parallel line will also have a slope of negative 1/5. They tell me it passes through the point 2, negative 1, so that's my starting point. So plot the point 2, negative 1, so over 2, down 1. And from that point, I'm going to do my slope, negative 1, 5. So down 1 over 5. It's going to be off our graph, but that's okay. I can again go back to my starting point, and instead of going down and to the right, I can go up and to the left. So if I go up 1 and over 5, there's that point. I'm going to draw the line through those points, again giving arrows to show that it is in fact a line. And we can tell that these two lines are in fact parallel. They're not intersecting. They're in the same plane. All right, let's switch gears now. The next examples ask us to find the unknown coordinate so that the line through the points has the given slope. So they give me 1 point, 4 comma negative 3. The next point, they want us to find the x value if the y value is 1, and together these 2 points would have a slope of negative 4. Again, we're going to use our equation for slope. Y equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I'm going to plug in everything that we know. So y2 is 1 minus y1, negative 3, over x2, that's what we're looking for. We're just going to leave it as x, minus x1, which is 4, equals my slope, okay, which is negative 4. So now let's simplify what we can here. So on top over here, we have 1 minus negative 3. That turns to 1 plus 3, which is 4, over x minus 4. I can't do anything with that. I'm leaving it as x minus 4 right now, equals negative 4. I'm going to make this side match and look like a fraction from the other side. So I'm going to put that over 1 because we know that negative 4 and negative 4 over 1 are the exact same thing. Now look what we have created. We have created a proportion. And remember, way back at the beginning of the year, we practiced proportions. We reviewed that from Algebra 1. And remember, how do you solve a proportion? Cross multiply. So I'm going to cross multiply. So I'm going to take this and multiply together, and this and multiply together. So I have negative 4 times this whole thing, x minus 4. So I put that in parentheses. That's going to equal the other two multiplied together, 4 times 1. And remember, it doesn't matter which one I wrote first. I could have put 4 times 1 equals negative 4 times, in parentheses, x minus 4. It doesn't matter the order that you write it in. So now to solve this, I need to go ahead and distribute. So negative 4 times x gives me negative 4x. Okay, I'm just distributing here. Negative 4 times negative 4 gets me plus 16 equals 4. I'm solving for x, so now it's a basic algebraic equation. So subtract 16 from both sides. So negative 4x equals, so when I subtract 16, 4 minus 16 gives me negative 12. Now again, to get the x by itself, I need to get rid of the negative 4. It says negative 4 times, so the opposite of multiplication, division. So divide both sides by negative 4. Now I get x is equal to negative 12 divided by negative 4 is a positive 3. So x is positive 3. So the 2 points, 4 comma negative 3, and now I know 3 comma 1, those 2 points have a slope of negative 4. Let's do another one of those. So example number 2, the first point is 5 comma y. The second point is negative 3 comma 4. They want to know what is the y value if I would have a slope of negative 2/3. So again, I'm going to plug everything into my equation for slope. Okay, so if we plug these in, I would have 4 minus y over negative 3 minus 5 equals negative 2 over 3. And again, I want to go ahead and simplify, work out what I can. So on top, 4 minus y, I can't do anything with that yet, so it stays 4 minus y over negative 3 minus 5 turns to negative 8. I know that equals negative 2 over 3. Again, I have a proportion. I'm always going to end up with a proportion when I work these out. So now I want to cross multiply. So cross multiply, I have 3 times 4 minus y equals negative 2 times negative 8. Now we want to solve this equation for y. So our very first step, we want to distribute our 3. So 3 times 4 gets me 12. 3 times negative y minus 3y. equals negative 2 times negative 8 turns to positive 16. Again, here our goal is to get the y by itself. So first thing I need to do is move that 12 to the other side. It's a positive 12, so we want to subtract 12 from both sides. So then I have negative 3y equals 16 minus 12, 4. I need to get rid of the negative 3, so divide by negative 3. And I find that y is negative 4 thirds. And not simplify or reduce that any, so that's my answer. So again, going back, the points would have been 5 comma negative 4 thirds and negative 3 comma 4. Those 2 points together would give me a slope of negative 2 thirds. All right, let's look at our last page of notes now. So here, this one, it says, given several lines, the line with the biggest slope is the steepest. Okay, so biggest slope is the steepest. That is the important thing to remember. So they're asking me to determine which line is steeper. So I need to find the slope of each of these lines and then determine which of those numbers is the largest number. So we'll start with the slope of line L. I'm just going to start from left to right. Again, just like at the beginning of our notes, find 2 points on that line. Start from the furthest one to the left. And again, I can see that all of these lines are going to have a positive slope because from left to right, they're all increasing. So I start at this point, how far up and over. So I go up 1, 2, 3 over 1. So the slope is 3 over 1 or 3. Now let's find the slope of line M. Doing the exact same thing. Find 2 points. From this point, how far up and over? So count my squares. So I went up 2 over 1. So 2 over 1 gives me 2. And then finally, I need to do the last line, the slope of line N. Here's a point way down here and a point way up there. So up and over. So count my squares. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 7 over 5. So my numbers are 3, 2, and 7/5. What is 7/5? Is it bigger than 2? Is it bigger than 3? We know how to change that to a mixed number. So how many times will 5 go into 7? Once. What's left over? Okay. So 2. So 7/5 is the same thing as 1 and 2/5. So now my 3 slopes, 3, 2, and 1. Which one is larger? 3 is the largest number, right? We know that. So we would say line L is the steepest. Okay. Don't forget to answer the question. Determine which line is steeper. Line L is the steepest. All right, so in that example, they gave us a picture of the lines, but they might not always do that. So the next example, we're going to look at determine which line is steeper, but this time they don't give me the lines graphed. They give me the points. I know how to find slope given just points. I use my formula. So the slope of line 1, plug into the formula. So subtract the y's, 7 minus 2 over negative 4 minus 5. 7 minus 2 is 5. Negative 4 minus 5 turns to negative 9. So my slope is negative 5/9. So I see that this slope from left to right, this line would be decreasing. I cannot simplify or reduce that any. So now let's find the slope of line 2, doing the exact same thing. So subtract the y's, so 10 minus 6 goes on top, over negative 3 minus 12. 10 minus 6 is positive 4. Negative 3 minus 12 is negative 15. So I have negative 4/15. we have the two numbers -5/9 and -4/15. I need to know which one of those numbers is bigger. And remember, when we're dealing with negative numbers, the closer we are to 0, the bigger the number. If it helps you, you can go ahead and turn these into decimals. Yes, you heard me correct. I said you could turn these fractions into decimals. One of the few times that I'm okay with you doing that, right? So -5/9. If we put that in our calculator and divide -5 divided by 9, we get, this is approximately -0.555. Now let's do the same thing with -4/15. This is approximately, so again, do -4 divided by 15, and we get, this is approximately -0.2666. So -0.5 or -0.2, which one is closer to 0, since we're dealing with negatives? -0.2666. That's the closest one to 0. That's the bigger one. So to answer the question, line 2 is steeper. All right, last example for the day. It says graph the line through the point 1, 2, parallel to the line through -2, 4 and 3, 3. Well, first I need to know what is the slope of the line that they give me these 2 points. So the slope is, subtract your y's, 3 minus 4. We should be experts at doing this right now. Over 3 minus -2. 3 minus 4 turns to -1. 3 minus -2 turns to 3 plus 2, which is 5. -1 and 5. I cannot reduce that any. So now I need to know what is the slope of my parallel line. Remember, parallel lines have what kind of slopes? The same slopes. So my parallel slope is also -1/5. If I want, I could go ahead and graph the line that they give to me. So they gave me 2 points, -2, 4. So plot the point -2, 4. And then I can do my slope down 1/5, which goes through 3, 3, which we already knew that because they told us that. So there's the line that we found the slope of. Now we're going to graph the line that's parallel to that. So through the point 1, 2. So first, that's my starting point, over 1 up 2. Slope of -1/5. So down 1/5. It's me right here. Draw the line through those 2 points. And there we have it. All right, so that was our second day working with slope, which again was a nice review from Algebra 1. Today we focused on slopes of lines, parallel and perpendicular lines. Your homework assignment for today, remember I told you everything would be in Envision while I was gone for homework. So it has already been assigned to you in Envision. If you log into Envision, it will say Envision 2.4, and then next to that is also going to say 3.4 day 2, because we are working with chapter 3. Go ahead, do that assignment. Don't forget, after you are done with that assignment, you will take a screenshot of your score and upload that in Canvas underneath the assignment for today that says 3.4 day 2. It's the Envision assignment. That's how I will be grading your assignments, through Canvas. So please do not forget to take your screenshot and upload it into Canvas. That's all I got for you guys today. Miss you.